James.
Would somebody please tell me where the hell Alice is? Because she's not at my house, and there sure isn't sunshines and rainbows all the time. Oh, hell, I'm dreaming. Reality is they always find something to fuss about. I thought the judge was a freaking idiot. And I was jealous. I'm not even going to try to tell you I was not jealous. Honestly, I volunteer for overtime some days just to keep from going home. Gut parenting is the best way to go. That is the reality of being a stepmom.
You've gone beyond the bar stool with Jennifer James. Real life, real practical, real radio. blogtalkradio.com.
Welcome back. I am so glad you chose to tune in today. There's many other places you could be, but I'm glad you chose to be right here listening to Beyond the Barstool. Thank you, Brian Freeman Productions, for doing such an excellent job. I am so excited. This is the second show, and I've got to tell you, if it gets any better than the first show, I don't think they can hold me down off cloud 9 because it has been amazing. So what we are talking about is how combining families is made out to be something that's supposed to be easy, simple, and look like the Brady Bunch. Would somebody please tell me where the hell Alice is? Because she's not at my house, and there sure isn't sunshines and rainbows all the time. There are sometimes, yes. Some days you just get up and you're so full of love, and it looks like Care Bears coming out your eyes where you're just so excited to have everyone getting along and no fights, and oh hell, I'm dreaming. Reality is they always find something to fuss about because that's just what kids do, even if they're blood related or step siblings, that they just fight. Especially when you have teenage boys. Lord have mercy, we've got 5 teenage boys, and some days I just want to pull my hair out and run home and cry, hide under the bed. Honestly, I volunteer for overtime some days just to keep from going home. Because that is the reality of being a stepmom. But I wouldn't trade it for anything, because other days the kids are so grateful and they're so sweet and innocent. And yes, believe it or not, they are adorable. Especially the chubby cheek one. I could just squeeze him. And my babies, they're getting used to having a dad. And it's neat because my 6-year-old is so excited because, my husband's teaching him how to be a tomboy, or I guess not a tomboy because he is a boy, but I've raised him to be, so he calls it sissified. But, watching him play practical jokes on people is hilarious. But there's one thing that we all avoid talking about, but as a step parent, we all have to deal with it. Baby mama drama. Oh, what am I talking about here? Am I talking about that easy stuff that is just, you get along, you come together, and everybody's sharing birthdays, sharing holidays, and it's just so giddy. Everybody just gets along. No, hell, that's a fucking Lifetime video for real. Okay? Because that is not what reality is. Reality is that there's still feelings there that everyone is confused about. So she wants to run your tail off, okay? So she can get back in and get her life back. No, not really. No. The truth is, I've been on both sides. I've been the baby mama causing drama, and I'm a stepmom. So, I can kind of tell you about both sides and how they're feeling, because there's no middle, okay? It's like this. When my ex-husband got with his current wife, I was very upset because it had been about 2 months since we had divorced, and we really hadn't divorced. We were trying to get divorced, but we were separated. And this lady has stepped in, and she's the one tucking my kids in at night. My boys were 2 and 1st or 2nd grade. And I was jealous. I'm not even going to try to tell you I was not jealous. I wasn't jealous that she had my ex-husband, because I really was appreciative of that, because I was ready to get rid of him, or we wouldn't have been separated. But he was a stay-at-home dad, and I was the working mom. So he ended up with custody of the kids, and I was the every other weekend. So I was very upset. And she took it as that I wanted my ex-husband back. And I think some days, because we're doing better. My oldest son is 19, a senior in high school. So yes, it has taken many years. And, since I've become a stepmom myself, I have had to go back and say, I'm sorry and thank you. Because there's things you don't think of. As a baby mama, you're thinking about, this lady is doing this for my son or my daughter, and I'm not doing it for him, and that's my job, and she needs to step back. Okay, in her mind, she's thinking, I've got to do this because nobody else is going to do this, and I just want to make sure it gets done. Okay, let that sink in, because there's two different definitions of things. So, in the kids' eyes, okay, because, like I said, again, I've had to kind of come to grasp with both angles. And I've honestly apologized to my 13-year-old because I never thought about how my blow-ups would affect my children. I just wanted to get that shit out because I was ready to explode. And, at one point we did get in a fight in the middle of a church, and my oldest son, was really excited about it and was like, yeah, Mom, go for it. And I really don't remember very much about it, but it did get me into anger management classes, and the next two disagreements ended up getting me into counseling and learning how to co-parent. I've read a lot of books. I've gotten me a little certificate where I'm a certified counselor, okay? It's helping me out now. I guess that's how, as they say, God puts you through one thing because later on you're going to use it again, and you don't think about that. The trial you're going through right now will be a blessing later on. The trial I had at the time was, why are you keeping my kids when I could be the one keeping them? And in her mind, she's thinking, well, why aren't you keeping them? Why is why is this man I'm dating making me keep his kids? I'm having to take her responsibility, so why isn't she? And, it's kind of like, as they say, the circle of life. But now I'm looking back, and I should have handled things a lot different. Like I said, I've apologized to my ex-husband, and I've tried to apologize to her, but she still isn't talking to me. Don't ask me why, We've only disagreed for all these years, and now I expect her to accept my apology. What am I thinking? But I get it. I really do. Because now I'm a stepmom. And I'm dealing with this crazy lady throwing up different forms of chaos. And, I try to understand some of it, and some of it I do to a point. But it's kind of like you've got to choose your battles. And the sad thing is, my stepsons, they're at an age where they can see what's happening, and they choose not to have her around because she throws up so much drama. I'm not talking about, like, for my kids, when I showed up, one basketball game, okay, I didn't have a schedule. For some reason, my ex didn't give me a schedule, so I just got the schedule from somebody else, and I showed up at the basketball game for my son. And, of course, his wife wants to, what are you doing here? I can't believe that. And I'm like, they're my kids. I can be here to watch them play basketball if I want to. And then the basketball coach is like, hi, who are you? And I'm like, I'm their mom. He says, no, their mom is dead. And I'm like, shit, I'm right here, dude. I'm not dead. Man, it made me so mad because come to find out, my kids had been playing basketball on a basketball scholarship. He didn't even have to pay for them to play basketball because he lied and said I was dead. I mean, it kind of hurt my feelings. I'm like, should I take this as a threat? But I was like, no, I'm very much alive, and do I need to pay? And they didn't make me pay. But I mean, these guys would tell me the wrong schedule, but luckily I had a friend playing. Her son was playing with the boys, and so they would try to give me the right schedule. I only missed one game, which was really nice, and I was expecting my other son, my third son, and I'll tell you how bad the baby mama drama is. I went into labor, premature labor, with my third son on the way to a basketball game for my oldest son. And it really hurt my feelings that night because, I told the doctor, I'm like, just give me some pain medicine. Let me go to the game and I will come back. I really will come back. And he's like, it don't work that way. You got to have this baby. We got to get him out. And, you know, both of your lives are at risk. And I will never forget, because I didn't want to tell my ex that I was in labor, because I was afraid he wouldn't let me have my visitation that weekend because I was in the hospital. You know, it was very much chaotic. I mean, it was unreal. My son made his first basketball goal. I don't remember the terminology they used, but that was the first time he made that. A ringer is what I call it, okay? That night. And I remember I called him. I got to call him before I went back for the C-section. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, not much, you know, just hanging around. And he says, well, you missed it. I made my first goal. And I'm like, oh my God. And of course, by then I'm just blubber crying. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing. It's all good. But, you know, we've tried giving her their basketball or their wrestling schedules and different football schedules and such. And, you know, her baby mama drama is so extreme that the boys don't want her there. The coach was asking if he needed to ask her to leave at one point. And I'm like, no, because she should be here supporting her son. And I'm here to support him as well because I'm his ride. And the coach is like, are you sure that you don't want me to ask her to leave? Because these kids don't need this kind. My babies, my two youngest ones were there, and they were like, Mom, call the cops. And I said, I'm not calling the cops. And they were crying, and they said, well, let's just leave and you can come back and get him later. And I said, no, we got to support your brother. And this lady was still just blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Jesus, lady, support your kid and shut up. But looking back, I think that she's worried that the kids are going to love me more than they love her, because I've went through that myself. And in reality, y'all guys got to think about something. If you're a baby mama, you gave birth to these children, okay? Nobody is going to cut that off. Now, if you act like a dang blooming idiot and you cause chaos all the time, because in a divorced relationship and a divorced family, these kids are supposed to have more love. Okay, they should have extra moms and extra dads, so they should have 4 heartstrings to tug at. 4 big old hearts, 4 Christmases, 4 Valentine's Days, 4 Easters. They should have extra love, where these regular, whatever you want to call it, families, I don't know the modern terminology nowadays. I don't want to say single families, but, you know, the ones with just a biological mom and a dad, they only got 2 sets of love, okay? And they only get 2 sets of Christmases and 2 Easters instead of the 4. This can also be a great setup if you will think about it, okay? Now, you step mom and dads, get your head out your butts, and let's think about this. Because you got a free babysitter, all right? And that's what we finally learned how to use. And let me tell you, we were enjoying it for a while, because the kids would go to their mamas, and me and my husband would actually get to go on date nights and have time together, because as we were dating, with him having the kids full time, our dates consisted of all the kids, and in every date, we had all the kids, okay? I didn't just date their dad, I dated them too. And I'm not complaining, don't you even get me wrong. I wouldn't have had it any other way. And if he had said something about me having my kids with me all the time, I probably would have not stayed with him. And if he had tried to pawn his kids off on somebody all the time, I wouldn't have stayed with him. So, you know, as she got her every other weekend and my kids got their every other weekends, we kind of, no, we didn't accidentally. We set this shit up.